Hello Year 5 and 6 and welcome to our English lesson for today. So today we're going to be focusing on story maps. So story maps are where we draw images to represent what's happening in the story and they help us to remember them. We can also then remember key vocabulary and phrases that we want to then magpie for our own writing. So today we're going to be looking at the introduction and the build-up to the model adventure story, which you can find on the blog, and it's called Lost at Sea. So Mrs. O'Heen has drawn us an absolutely fantastic story map for the introduction that we're going to have a look at together, and then your task is to design your own story map to represent the build-up. Remember, you can find the story on the blog. So we're going to have a read of this together. The day started off no differently. Percy was woken abruptly by another spine-tingling dream involving the dreaded Mrs. Dodds, who no one had admitted was real yet. Percy dragged his aching body out of his stuffy room and made his way down towards the kitchen. The kitchen was small and dainty, but it was home for Percy and his mother, and now, unfortunately, smelly Gabe. The kitchen used to be full of mouth-watering smells such as homemade pancakes with chocolate chips, crispy bacon sandwiches smothered with tomato ketchup, and hard-boiled eggs with their soldiers at the ready. All the room smelt of now was Gabe's foul body odour and vile breath. Percy shuddered at the thought. Despite the fact that his home had now been invaded by an ogre, the sight of Percy's mum flipping pancakes made him feel safe and warm. Percy's mother had a glow that could brighten anyone's spirits. Her kind and thoughtful nature was the only thing that enabled Percy to endure living with Ghastly Gabe, his new nickname for the man, which he felt suited him perfectly. "Are you hungry, love?" Mum called, still flipping the pancakes. "Always," replied Percy with a smirk. Mum returned the smile. Percy sat down on the rickety old chair opposite Ghastly Gabe, who began to pick his nose curiously. Can you not?" Percy stated, disgust evident in his tone of voice. Gabe just huffed and continued. Percy contemplated asking his mother to tell Gabe to stop being so revolting for once in his life, but he knew that his mother hated being involved in the ongoing dispute between them. Percy lowered his head so Gabe's nose-picking adventure was out of sight and took a sip of the orange juice in front of him. Delicious, he thought. So you can see then, as I was following the introduction, I was also using my story map to help me to work out what was happening. So I'd like you now to have a read of the build-up of the model adventure story Lost at Sea, which you can find on the blog, and I would like you to draw your own images and create your own story map to represent what happens in the build-up. Myself and Miss Gallagher would love to see some pictures of the story map that you create. Remember, our email addresses can be found on our class pages.